very excited to introduce today the very special Amanda Newearth. And Amanda's been doing a lot of fabulous videos which brought her to my attention. She's been doing videos with Dale Holmes, who is a friend of mine. We did a video over Christmas, and we've been in touch for a while. And with Ted Ma from, he's from Canada, I think, isn't he? And so Amanda is very switched on with everything that's happening. She's also a meditation teacher. She makes jewelry, a psychic. You know, she's had those abilities for many, many years, and she's a truther, telling people about what's really happening on the planet at the moment. And so big welcome, Amanda. Can I ask you, first of all, your name? I know some beautiful ladies called Amanda who have great insight and knowledge about the planet at the moment. In fact, I'm doing an interview with one of them next week, Amanda DeMarco from Indigo Angel. She knows all about the grids and things. And then I've got another friend, amazing friend, who takes incredible photos with galactic colors and, you know, frequencies and activations. And she knows a whole lot of information as well. And her name's Amanda, and you're Amanda. What is it with this name, Amanda?
Well, Amanda, it's actually, I think it's a one. I think it's a one, which is God's child. I'm not sure if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that's it, but I don't really get into all of that sort of thing. I don't know. It's just a resonation, and it's many which is a holy vibration. But I don't think that that's got to do with it. It's the Newearth part, which is, of course, is not my birth name, but that came about back in the 2000s because what we were all going through was the whole education of so many different things. And I feel like we're in 2012.2. Mm-hmm. Because the lessons that we all learned as truthers and these grand, big conceptual things of our history and the galaxy, and, you know, that we're heading for bifurcation, which was a split, and this new earth, you know, that's how I got to Newearth, and great big teachings like the New Sphere and Tiasha Dunn and
Dolores
dance.
Yeah.
Dolores, well, that's slightly separate because I'm actually a clinical hypnotherapist as well. So Dolores always factors in anyway. Mm-hmm. Dolores brought all sorts of messages. So it was just this natural thing. And because I had been watching chemtrails and geoengineering for so long, and I thought, okay, well, I'm all about helping usher in the new earth, because I'm a parapsychologist, which is, and a teacher of it. I used to be a teacher of it, which is all about your energy field, all about raising your frequency, high frequency chakras, auras, entities, ghost busting, all the way up to all of your galactic selves. And so it was just really natural, because it's Amanda Newearth Newtime was what I was called.
Yes.
And that's also because I did an ET healing practice, right. And that really was very hard, but very, very good. And so that's where I learned my inner superpowers were just so innate amongst many, many other people as well.
Yes.
Yeah. That it's actually our culture from our own home planet, and as simple as that. Oh, that was a big rave. Sorry about that. Yeah.
It's brilliant. I mean, I can relate, because I think holding the resonance of your name is really powerful. And I changed my name nearly 20 years ago now, and I channeled the name Medyhne, and then I found out subsequently one of the meanings, it has so many meanings in different cultures, but one of the meanings is in Sanskrit, Medyhne, divine, feminine, sacred power. And that was after I'd already taken it on. So I just think your name is quite a significant factor energetically in holding your vibration. So yeah, I can relate to that. So I was going to start by asking you, how are you going also in the floods, Amanda? Because I know that you were particularly sort of centered where all the flooding was happening. I was more on the periphery, Tweed Heads, but you were right amongst it there. So how's all that going now?
It's that's a huge thing. Yeah. That is huge, because people are either going, how can I put it? Oh my gosh. On the 3D level, we've got so many people who have just got so much damage to deal with, they've got no home. And we're talking like it's about 300,000 population, that a lot of those people are really
homeless,
being injured by this.
Yeah.
Being really, really injured. Like, I mean, I don't think people can actually grasp gravity of it. And if I may say this, I was so taken by the whole thing that was going on here. I was really lucky because I'm literally right on a hill next to it. So I'm fine, absolutely fine. Mm-hmm. In that respect. It's just something else. It was a real collective consciousness experience.
Yes.
And we haven't gotten to the bottom of it. Yeah. And if people don't realise, there was closer to 300 people who passed in those floods that people don't know about. And Australia is being hushed up on it. And it feels so like, I was very upset when it was happening that people were talking about the Ukraine, because we had a war zone right here in Australia. Absolutely. And when I watched the citizen journalists like myself down on the ground in the Ukraine and seeing the dead bodies and seeing the decimation, I cannot separate the two. They're the same. Yeah. Your own government
doing nothing.
It was just incredible. But then there was this other aspect. There's this other aspect out of it. When I was at the rally in Canberra for the month, I found the first week was just so heart-based, we sent a massive ripple. And I found that same ripple was in and around in the community.
Yes.
Up absolutely. Here as well. So it's possible for us to actually, I called it CPR for the heart chakra. It's almost like that. And then again, I also have info that it was done intentionally to speed things up.
Right.
To speed things up, because Aussies will just lay back down and go to sleep. We're all lizards. Lay back down, go to sleep in the sun, when we've got to realise that there is an agenda going on. Yeah. We might be spiritual, but if you get stuck in spiritual bliss, then you're not being the warrior you were sent here to be. Time of rest and restoration. Yeah. And then we're warriors and we go to work.
It's so important to heed the call of the warrior at the moment, isn't it? Because it's not just about resting on your laurels and waiting for other people to activate and do things. It's every person really standing in their empowerment and their sovereignty and stepping into that role, even if they've never done it before. This is the moment. That's a great message. I think that too, people overseas didn't hear a peep about, what was going on here. And it was all, as you say, the Ukraine everywhere. And we had an insurer that was speaking to a friend of ours, and he said that it was the worst disaster ever that had happened in Australian history. And people have no idea of that because it was so suppressed and hidden. So yeah, and our heart goes out to all the people that went through this. And it was so incredibly huge. So
it's huge. But the one thing everybody has to really watch out on that, I'm being really 3D at the moment because my warrior is actually asking me to come down into the 3D again. Yeah. Which is that there is an agenda, and it's called agenda. It's got 30 in it.
Yes.
And there's something called like the other word for IQ, being a bit smart.
Yes, being clever, yes.
And then there's this other word that they use, which is called resilience.
Right, yes.
Sustainability, etc. Watch out, they're moving in. So it's a big test. It's a big war going on here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And going to the houses and saying that the mold levels are so high that they can't stay there and they have to relocate and all that sort of stuff. And
or insurance-wise, coming in and not actually doing anything and letting it sit there and mold.
Exactly.
More than that, there's loads and loads and loads of stuff. But
so
it's the pain I was out in. I was out in the field trying to help volunteer and this sort of thing. It's just heartbreaking, but because I didn't realise that I was actually suffering as well, dealing with it. So I ended up going, okay, I have to go and retreat. I have to get okay with me. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, we'll move on from that topic, but it's great to be able to tell people what's really been happening with that. There is actually a great place that you can donate to that I'll put in the notes that is an organic place that are contributing to helping the flood victims. It's not a governmental agency or anything. So I'll put that in there because people always ask me, they say, how can I help? So I'll put that in the notes below as well. Okay, so in terms of the situation at the moment on the planet, how's the energy feeling for you? And let's talk about different dimensional realms, 3D, 4D, 5D. I'd love to hear you share with your current insights on that.
Okay, so I really think that I'd like to say it like this. Well, if you're a starseed, well, we come from our own culture, okay, and our own culture will have its own way of doing things. Like for myself, we're very etheric beings, we're high frequency, so therefore we don't understand that lower stuff, you know. So when it comes near, it's like, well, no, that will take me down. You know, there's cultural things from our starseed system that will mold who we are. There are other systems, other cultures that you can't kind of relate, not that you can't relate to, you don't know why you relate to the certain other people in your community. Then you've got the masculine, then you've got the feminine, then you've got the left brain, then you've got the right brain. Okay, you've got the logical brain and you've got the intuitive brain, and then you've got to meld the two. So this is where I'm at with the 3D. Logical, which means that we can balance it with our intuition. So if our left brain cannot understand what the message is and wants to attack the hand of the messenger, that's one thing, but that's a personal individual journey, and it's not discernment. That's not discernment.
Yeah,
so
it's
the
fear.
Messages that are coming down at the moment are bombshells.
Mm-hmm.
But people who have professed that they are awake and the truthers are not getting it.
Yeah, sure. Can you give examples of some of these?
Yeah, I can definitely give one. I'll give one about I found what was on, say, Health Ranger. Mm-hmm. Mike Adams, Mike Adams, all of the stuff that was going on and being absolutely intentionally released all over last week, which had to do with Big Pharma. Yes. And I've been looking at this for 40 years. I really feel as though I might be a little bit of an expert.
Yeah.
Because I observed for 40 years the toxic poisons.
Yes.
That have been accepted as normal.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
How do they get fluoride into your water as a medicine? How do they do that? How do they do that? There's a special machine.
That's right. It's advanced technology, isn't it? A lot of it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's called dosing.
Yeah.
So to me, there is something very, very special that takes. It's like we're all on a spiral, and it depends on which part of the spiral you're on, because when you get to certain points, you know people, but you're on slightly different paradoxical points.
Right.
There's a paradox. And that paradox is a personal paradox. It's not a war between other people. You've got to go, all right, I'm having a paradox right now. There's contradiction on contradiction. Oh, why is that happening? Oh, well, maybe I need to sit with it.
I like to view it as like you have a foundational base with people that you care about of divine unconditional love. And those things on top of that, where perhaps different belief systems and things like that, you know, we're allowed to express them and differ because we're unique individuals with different points of view. But you still continue to have that foundational base of unconditional love. That doesn't go away because you've got a different opinion, you know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And I've found that this is the interesting part because, you know, it's like it's like the television programs that, because I don't watch television, but I've come across one that's at nighttime starts with P, the P, and there's one in the morning that it happens every morning, the sun rises, and their attitudes, they sell attitudes. So I'm talking 3D at the moment.
Yes,
okay?
yes.
Their attitude dispensaries and their thought police.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Well, they only think in a certain paradigm, and that paradigm has been given to them without them realizing that they've been programmed within that paradigm. So they don't have any alternative views on anything.
That's MK Ultra.
Yeah, exactly.
So simple. It's like, yeah. So discernment is where you go, okay, I need to ponder the paradox. I'm not ready for the paradox. I think I might just retreat from that. That's discernment.
Yes.
Discernment's not going, oh my gosh, look at that messenger. Bullshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That, you know, you've got to be really careful here in the sense, and I mean, I'm not here to upset people at all, but I am here with a bit of a message, which is the bliss that we have in our hearts is for loving each other and healing each other, patience and endurance. It is from 4D and 5D.
Yeah.
Yep. Then we'll go into 4D. Well, what I found down in Canberra, what I found on the convoy going down to Canberra was 4D was everywhere. Beautiful. We had lashings, and to me it was a really dynamic spiritual experience because I had no choice. I had to go.
Yes. I
had 12 hours notice or whatever, packed on the convoy, bang. But it was the energy of the group gathering, the oversoul.
Yes.
The oversoul of the group that was on the first convoys was a completely different dynamic as to what happened in the second week and the third week and the fourth week that I was there. Right. Very different.
Right.
But it was about gathering this soul group. It was cosmic. It was really amazing. It was like we just did this great big, if you can think of the concentric rings, like a, bang, because the people were just incredible.
Yes.
And then it just sort of slightly changed, which was fine because it was an impetus that had to happen. It happened in Australia. It happened in, of course,
Canada with the convoys.
Canada, all over.
Yes.
And that's why Ukraine could happen, is because the people were ready. That's correct. Because we've been sold an incredible lie about everything. Right? That was the one big message from Galaxy, from Galactic, from spiritual, whichever angle you want to come from. It all depends on your culture, spiritual culture, that everything is a lie that you've been told.
Oh, yes, 100%.
Yeah. So where do you get that kind of information? How do you know that you're on your own right track? It's the resonance in your heart. It's more than that, though. I'm sure you can appreciate that. You sort of our chord to whatever we come from, is the chord. It's the secret chord, so it has a resonance. So it will sing when you're when
you hit a universal truth, you get like goosebumps, and sometimes you get like an energy going up and down your spine and all that sort of thing.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And then there's some other people of different culture or different states on the paradoxical coil who just will not get it. But that's not up to you or I.
No.
That's up to them.
That's right.
Totally up to them.
Yeah.
So how did that energy come through? Well, that's more 5D and birth, choice, birth, contract. As to say, I'm using Canberra, the convoy, as an example now. Yeah. So what was it? It was birth contract. It was the warriors coming together.
Yeah. Beautiful. Are you still in contact with some of those people from
well, I'm busy with my own life again because I took a whole month out.
Yes.
Came back, drove through floodwaters, had to deal with 2 floods, and my entire environment out there, all my sanctuaries all destroyed. Just there's so much that's happened. So it's really, I'm like, it made me actually come all the way back in and go, So it's a bit, I was quite a different person actually before I left.
Right.
If I may say, this has been quite life-changing.
Yeah, it would be, absolutely. And
Going
I
to
feel very blessed that you're able to do this interview in the midst of it all. So thank you, or this chat. So thank you. Yeah, no, it would be life-changing. It would make you view the world in a different way. And I guess it's purifying us going through an experience like that. I mean, I can relate to that in the sense that I had a baby pass at birth, and the same thing happened. You know, it totally changes everything that you are, makes you view the world differently, and it also changes all the people around you as well. So yeah, very, very interesting.
That's right, because it's actually a consciousness, isn't it? It's group consciousness, or a national consciousness, or whatever it is. Yeah, it's all energetic, isn't it? So that's where we go. 4D heart, the mission, 5D. Well, that's not the point. We are a 3D existence, and in our 3D, we're at war.
Oh, we are, absolutely. I mean, it befuddles me how people can't feel that energetically, because there is just so many examples of this energetic war happening within our field, right in our face, and then overseas and everywhere else. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It takes me to the bigger picture, because I was looking at this amazing video yesterday. It's a video by Arhayas, and it's called the Voyager series. I don't know if you've heard of it, but basically they were saying, you know, we've been on a prison planet for a long, long time, and that what has happened is that they were indicating how, you know, the energies that feed off the life force that we are, and we're talking here about reptilians and draconian and those sorts of energies, those energies that feed off the life force, they did that, and they were sort of saying to view them in a perspective from more of a loving standpoint, if that's even possible, but because they were feeding off these life force energies, because they were aware that they would basically, their energies would be annihilated if they didn't, because they have a devolving consciousness that is not of the light, and so they're not connected to the divine, so they can't regenerate, they can't continue, and so they have to feed off something else. So through their own terror of disintegration and annihilation, they felt like that they had to you know, move forward in this way. And so she said, when you view it from that perspective, you can have a little bit more of a loving perspective, or forgiving perspective, of why it has been created. They have created it in that way. So I thought that was really interesting. What do you say to that?
Well, the Draconians, Reptilians, Greys, Orions are not allowed here anymore. We're cleaning them up.
Yes.
You know, so that goes into my super soldier side. We've been battling a lot. Consciously, we won a really big one in the 2000s, massive, absolutely massive, so that then we could actually not be annihilated. So the clock was reset. The timeline, that sounds so linear when it's not. Yes. It's like concentric, and it was reset so that we didn't get disintegrated in 2012, and so that then we can actually do the correct timeline, which is now.
Do you think we're in the clear now completely?
Well, yes, we're pretty good. We're very, very, very good.
Yeah,
we're really, really good. It's about around Christmas time. They unleashed. They being the 15th of December. I got the message that 15th of December. That was it. Contract over. Not allowed to be here anymore. Now we'll deal. They're still dealing with it.
Because there's so many levels underneath, aren't there? Like the mini.
This is where we've got to go to 3D at the moment. We can't always go up to the 5D. Okay, but we can use our 5D to get very, very focused and know thy enemy.
Yeah.
And go, okay, I don't want to participate. I don't want it to be on the earth anymore. I want it to be a different way.
Yes.
Say out in the oceans, what's going on under the ocean, so which is still being cleaned up. Which could potentially be also why there was such massive flooding up here, was potentially a biolab.
Right. And it was so interesting too, just prior to all that happening, there was so many thousands of lightning strikes.
Were they lightning strikes?
Exactly. The plot thickens.
Well, that's right. And even after it, even after it, it was, we had a lot of that. And see, that goes into the whole other part, which is, I did the Australian Decode with Jean, and I talked to Q and things like that. We should be all right with that. We shouldn't get kicked off for that. But because this is the thing, is that we are so multifaceted, multiculturally diverse in our origin.
Yes, and our infinite abilities, our co-creational abilities, which leads me to my next point. This is a great segue. So I was listening to a talk with David Wilcox, and he was chatting about how he's being really activated through his energetic field for telekinesis and these sorts of things happening in his home, where things are moving and he's not touching them, but they're from a distance, they're moving. If you know what telekinesis is, I'll put a definition across the top. And so he's saying that, and I might even put an excerpt from his video in here, but he was saying that with the intention to create a new world and to create this positive, we won't say timeline, but positive co-creational new earth, ascended earth, that when you are participating in that, and he specifically even said, if you're doing videos or something like this, and I thought, oh yay, I'm doing that. He said that your superpowers are now starting to be really activated, and he said one of these is telekinesis. And this is so interesting because the other day my partner and I came home, and we walked into the house, and the desk where he works had moved a foot forward. We hadn't touched it, but it moved a foot forward. We thought, that's weird. And then all this stuff was happening. We got up one morning, and we always lock the door downstairs, and the door was wide open. Different things like this happening. And so that could be to do with the telekinesis that he's talking about. Because I did ask, I said, look, why are all these things happening? I also came in one time, and at night, we always turn everything off, came downstairs, and the TV was blaring and the lights were all this sort of stuff. So, I'm wondering if that is an activation of the superpowers and the telekinesis that he's also indicated, because it did come into my field when I asked about what all this was. So, this activation of superpowers that are happening now, Amanda, would you like to sort of talk about that for a minute and what your thoughts are on that?
Well, I think that there's a culmination of a few things, because that's the second thing I'll talk about. I think the first thing everybody needs to talk about is their auric hygiene and their environmental hygiene, because what happened at Christmas time, which I didn't quite manage to say in the last question or whatever, so what happened around Christmas time was that the darker forces actually released legions, okay, and the astral etheric is thick with the most horrendous types of things. They can be telekinetic also, but I'm not trying to take away, because the superpowers of telekinetic just means that you've got wild energy. If it is telekinetic, if you're moving things, it means you've got wild energy, you need to tame it down.
I should say too that I'm very mindful of doing protective practices and prayers and things, and in fact I've run 2 really successful workshops with protection energy techniques, so I'm onto that. I'm totally onto that. So yeah, hopefully it's
that was more for your audience. That was more for your audience. Take her up on them.
Sure. No, I hear you. So and you have to be mindful of not allowing that to, if you've got those things happening and they are telekinesis or something like that, you have to be mindful of not letting that
even
just
your own thoughts.
Yeah.
You know what astral hygiene is. You have to be aware that your thoughts and your feelings are actually yours and your soul's processes, not another thing, okay, and not some other entity. Whether it be in the same way I explained television shows earlier, MK Ultra, there is this element of control that happens in the astral. That's why you have to have astral hygiene.
Yeah.
What's yours? What's actually what you're thinking? Yeah.
Yes.
What is it that you're actually feeling? And if you can't resolve things, know that it's usually an attachment. Simple as that.
Sure.
But anyway, that's my whole background. I mean, that's what I do as practice. So anyway,
I'm going to have all your contact details below too, if people want to contact you for sessions or anything as well. So
thanks, lovely. So then it was the thing of the telekinesis. So as a culture and as the why I was chosen to be in a certain specific area of super soldier is because of the absolute high telekinetic abilities. But we're talking something a little bit different here, where every culture, every person, every being, where everything is, and you can manifest the appropriate thing in the right place when you're in war. So we're talking the powers that you know now are like not much.
No.
But they're starting to remind you of what you really are, what you really are capable of. Because if we were all living in our true abilities down here,
wouldn't that be amazing?
It would be over.
Oh, no, totally. So how can you, talking to that, how can people start to really activate their superpowers? I mean, obviously there's things like meditation, being in nature, all that sort of thing. Do you have any tips for people to really tune into their own superpowers and really bring them forward at this time, which is what we need in order to, shift this current situation we're in? We want to move forward as quickly as possible in the positive. So, what would you recommend?
I have one motto, and this was given to me because I've been on the journey all my life, so I don't know anything else, but I had the most beautiful people when I was about 17, 18, helping with my energy because I was not coping. And they just said to me the simplest thing: don't try.
Yes.
Just be.
Yes.
Because trying...
That presence, yeah.
Well, it's a little bit more than that, because you're actually, of course you're present, but you're being, which means that it's actually, it's a living. You're living.
Yes.
Being.
Yes.
You're not trying to be anything, like I didn't do my hair very well because I'm not going to try, I'm just being.
So fully embodying your authentic self.
You're real. Yeah. Well, okay, take away all of those new age things. Take away every one of the achievements. I just did a workshop on not ascension, but expansion over ascension, because everybody's going out of their body because they think they've got to ascend, which is upwards. No, we're expanding, which means we have to accommodate more things.
Right.
Different ways of looking at things. So you just being, which is, I stuffed up. Okay, made a mistake. Okay, well, that's okay. But no lower frequencies, no shame, no guilt, da-da-da-da. Responsibility for self. Yeah, all sorts of different things. But then when you just take all that pressure of trying to be something from an external impulse or an external limitation, I'll put it.
Yeah.
You were born as you, and your whole life, the world has tried to say this. Well, you just let all of that go. You just sit down with yourself and go, okay, what's my truth? And my truth is nobody can ever possibly understand who you are.
No.
Your responsibility is to just be who you are and what your choice was to come here for. Well, without exception.
Sure. It's like, that thing where, when you're young and everyone says to you, what do you want to be when you're older? What job do you want to be? All that sort of thing. It's like saying that your worth comes with what you do and those sorts of choices, other than just your pure existence is everything.
That's right.
Yeah.
How I explain it is your soul is your soul is your soul, whether you're alive or dead, right? Your soul is your soul is your soul. Everything that we do, okay, so let's say I'm even psychic or, clinical hypnotherapist or overnight maker. They're just the expression of your soul. They aren't you.
No.
They're the expression of the energy that you are. You have to let go of being a nurse, doctor, da, because you've just got to resonate in your being.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, totally. I think that's really important for people to grasp that concept at the moment, because transitioning into this new energy, everything's going to completely, the whole paradigm, everything that we've based ourselves on is going to change. So if you're defining yourself by that, you're going to be on sort of unsure waters, like you're going to be in insecure ground, because it's not going to be the same, and you can't use that to define who you are.
It's a really interesting thing, because I sort of go, well, I'm ready for these times. This is just so exciting for me, because I've been patiently, and I'm serious, patiently. I'm very much, Ted Maher and I are very similar. We're really, really patient, because people have woken up for the last 1.5 years, 2 years, 2.5 years, and they're impatient, and I'm going, wait a minute. Yeah, but I'm starting to get a little bit frustrated now, because I've seen it. It's like, and it's like, just people just haven't put the time in. They haven't really got it yet. They haven't got the simple fact that everything's a lie.
Yeah.
That we're way more than anything that this 3D has offered.
That's right.
The dark forces have been running this shit show for so long. Come on, everybody.
I know.
Every system that's in place is
totally.
It's like, come
on. I know. I totally get it. Well, do you think that in the next 2 months we're going to see some huge shifts happening? I know Ted Maher, in his interview with you, which was a great interview, by the way, or chat with you, he talked about how in a couple of months, I think he said by end of May, June, the whole government would, well, the head of the government and the health ministers would all disappear, and that the whole government system would change. And of course, we've got our election coming up, and in May. So what are you feeling about all that?
Well, what I was about to sort of start saying was that, look, you can't see the forest for the trees sometimes, because we're in it. We're in the massive stuff. Well, I am anyway. I'm in amongst it all. I'm living it because I chose it, you know. You can't always see it from an observer's point of view when you're actually going through the evolution or expansion. Yeah. And I'm not saying ascension, because that's just a given. When you die, you're ascended. It's the job you've got to do here is more like bringing energy down, not giving an energy away. That's loose. That's what you were talking about before. So so what I'm seeing is it's about this consolidation of everybody knowing who they are, what they want, and just bringing it in here. We don't have to be like Braveheart, but we can feel like Braveheart. And call out the bullshit. I'm sorry, but that's just the way I speak.
And he was Australian too, wasn't he, Braveheart? Mel Gibson. I mean,
yeah, but he knows a whole lot more, doesn't he, about Hollywood and all? Because, you know, like, this is the thing. It's like we're at a point where it's like, well, you've got to know your truth. Why argue about two things that are linear when we've actually got to go dimensionally?
Yeah.
And that's what I'm finding. People are just like being thrown bones, and they're fighting over this bone. It's not about being right or wrong. There's always right and wrongs in paradoxes. So what we're going through at the moment is, as my reading that I did last week, I think it was death before, you know, the new comes in, you know, because I do a weekly tarot reading. I didn't do it yesterday. I didn't feel like it. So, you know what? I'm just being, not trying. That's
being in the flow. Yeah.
Being in the flow. Nah. Okay, we're not going to do it today. You know, because that's what it's about. It's about you honouring you and your soul. So this whole thing on the horizon, and I'm seeing it, I'm feeling it, is every time we stand up, it gives the permission for the next thing to occur. If you sit in your lounge chair watching those shows, I can't, you know, it's fine.
Support.
It's fine. I will pass over and I will be in my bliss and I'll back home. But it's like, come on, guys, you know, this expansion thing. So I'm going, we're in the absolute battle right now.
Mm,
And the battle is the truth.
Mm. Yeah.
Now, truth isn't right or wrong. It's just the truth. And this is where everybody's getting distracted. Is it right or is it wrong? No, we want just one thing, the truth. The truth about our financial system, the truth about the medical system, the truth about big pharma, big tech, everything.
Well, that's all about when the MSN are able to be dissolved, and we can transition, because they're the mouthpiece for everything, and we know that they're completely inverting all the truth. So, that's part of that systemic destruction that's going to happen at any moment. And when that happens, then everything can shift.
That's right. But the fact that we've got a few stepping stones, I'm seeing it as really hard for people, even though we had this disaster, honestly, horrible. But it's brought attention to where the highway was built, how it became a dam, about where the government just isn't there. What the heck are they doing? This is a war-torn Australia, and you know what I mean? So these are the things. We're being asked to be in the 3D at the moment. We're not being asked to be in our bliss. We're being asked to come right into this incarnation and be the warrior. We don't need to do any violence. It's got nothing to do with that. It's about bringing the truth in.
Yeah,
truth.
Absolutely.
If we had truth in our parliament, well, do you see what I mean? It's a frequency that we've got to bring into apps. If we had, I've done a documentary on Australian Mockingbird Media project. I've done it on the voting system here. And something, and I went, I'm not doing anymore. Like, everyone get out there and do your own. If you don't realise that you're just arguing between one chip and the next chip and one's truth, what we want is the truth, well, then we've got a problem.
Yeah.
Because the truth is inside of you in your resonance. If you're busy going left brain arguments, well, you're not balancing and being your divine masculine and feminine.
And of course, it's very hard to access the truth when you're getting RNA in artificial technology put into you that's making you lose the connection to what the truth is.
But then again, I've also seen that some people are gaining consciousness when they have it.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah.
I haven't heard that.
Ted and I talked about that last year sometime. I said, no, this is what I'm observing. I'm going, this is really interesting. So it comes down to frequency again.
Sure.
It comes down to frequency because we are so powerful. People just don't get it, how powerful. And it's not a power over other people. It's just we are a modulated frequency, incredibilis, no words for it. No words for it.
And that's why they want to feed off our energy, because it is so incredible. Yeah.
Well, that's right. And so, the reptiles that you were talking about earlier, they trained the systems that we have now.
Yeah.
To be exactly the thing. And so what I do know is that we've cleaned the galactic up, we've cleaned underneath pretty much. We've still got a little bit to do. And now we've got the surface level, which is why we're going through the reveal of our politicians or whatever it is. Whatever. But if anybody's spent one time in Canberra at the rallies, they'll know what the vibe is.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and even all the protests and things that have been happening around.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. It's all watching what's going on. Is to predict something is that false linear thing, and I won't do it. As you notice, I'm skirting around it because I won't do it because what I'm trying to say again is that I don't predict, because we needed all those souls to go to Canberra to create that ripple effect for the next thing to happen. And we can't do linear time on this. We need people to come to a certain thing in themselves about wanting the truth, and then that will create the next thing. There's no dates on this.
Sure, because it is an expression of what the reality is of the collective consciousness.
Correct.
And that can change.
So, it looks like we might get elbow in, and I'm going, well, is this, because I'm sort of going, people aren't ready to understand. There's not even a discussion. I was talking about it, 18 months ago, about our electoral system. It's crooked as crooked. what Bossy's talking about, thank you. And I mean, people don't realise. They think that they're powerful, but we've got to do the majors at the end. See what I'm meaning? I'm a really spiritual person, but I'm talking 3D at the moment because that's what I'm required and asked to do at the moment. Sure. Go 3D. And I usually just sit there away over here and don't talk about it that much. Yep. But I'm a little bit like David Wilcox. I've been on to David Wilcox for a long time. We actually have this capacity to think of many different angles at once.
Oh, totally.
And to see the pinpointing moments.
Yeah, multidimensional.
Not linear.
Yeah.
So that's right. And you can too, you know. So we're coming up, well, I mean, we've got some obvious 3D things, yeah?
Yeah.
Obvious.
Yes.
Obvious 3D things.
Right.
And what happens with that? Well, I can do my action. You can do your action. Everybody listening can do their action. And, you know, we just have to ride this one through because I feel as though we've still got a little bit of rubbish to go through because everybody's like expecting it to be golden dreams.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I think that the ability to say no and have boundaries and to not be just compliant with everything is really important. So, yeah. I mean, it's like...
compliant to what?
Compliant to the things that are not our truth.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct, eh?
Yeah.
And truth is such a beautiful resonance. It's filled with love and a harmony and a peace naturally.
Yes. Absolutely.
It just is. Truth is just a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's a really great note to finish on because it's nice and positive and uplifting. So thank you, Amanda. It was so great to chat with you, and I love everything that you're doing to raise consciousness, awareness, and in your own way how it's all evolving. It's great to keep posted on your journey. And if you want to contact Amanda, all her details will be below as well. So, because you've got, what are you running at the moment? Did you say you're running a meditation group?
I'll pop one up. You know, you can join it for a small fee.
Yes.
Orgonite pendants, Orgonite resonance. I've been making them for an awfully long time. They have my technology in them, which is a coil. It's all frequency based. Fantastic. And then also on my website, you can go to the latest videos. Latest tab is latest videos. You can go to pendant to purchase my pendants or to the bookings page to book a session with me. And there's a couple of different varieties there. Fantastic. So, yeah. And I will be doing another group meditation for anybody to join. One thing I do ask is everybody have their camera on. Okay. When they go in. And it's really fun. I mean, people just really enjoy it because they get to a different side of me, which is good.
Lovely.
Which is good. Anyway, I was very 3D today. I felt like I needed to be. And I just wanted to leave everybody with the simple thing of bliss. There is a time and a place for bliss. And if you could just think of multidimensional chess games with love and truth on each and every one of those steps, and just be part of that and just resonate the truth. And I love you all. And thank you so much, Medyhne, for having me on. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Much love. Thank you.